or Fernanda, I can help you to do that too. Okay, there we go. All right, so hopefully everybody can see our little mileage sign on different places that, of course, we'd love to go right now. But I want to welcome you to our third, which is crazy, virtual travel night. I see some of you on here who have been with us each time, and I see some new names and faces, so I thank you for coming. Just as a quick thing, I want you to know that we have a great team behind us. Jim and I are the owners of Pique Travel. We're husband-wife duo, and we have several in-house travel designers and then several affiliates across the country. So many of you are associated to one of them or us in some way or another, or maybe you're scoping us out, which is great too. So I encourage you to reach out to them as you need to. Jess went over the chat function, but let me just say this again: we are recording it, so so please know that if you have technical difficulty, don't worry about it. You could always go in. Everyone is muted and video off, as Jess said. But please use this chat function. Keep your drop down to everyone so we can see kind of the banter back and forth and some of the questions. And please weigh in on it, because we're not going to have quite as much interaction as we usually do, where I do some interactive stuff and ask you to type into chat, because we're hoping that as the speakers are speaking, please type in your questions as you think of them while we're speaking. Aaron Green, of course, on our team is going to help me monitor it again. So we'll come back at the end for a big Q&A to get them back you know, answered and stuff. So as you have things, please use that chat. It's great for us, and we love it. So we hope you will continue to use it. So tonight, it should be a fun night. For those of you who have been with us for the last couple months, good or bad, it's been me talking for an hour because there's been so much to talk about. And on one hand, so much, but yet on one hand, so little to talk about because of all the COVID crazy stuff that's been going on. So we're going to skip over a lot of that. I mean, I am going to give a few highlights and critical things to know. But tonight we're going to do a quick poll, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And then I am going to go over a few key travel considerations and what's going on in today's landscape. But the majority of tonight is going to be about the partners that you saw on earlier. We have 4 great partners that I'll introduce individually as it's their turn to speak. But really excited to finally get to welcome others to talk about. It might be their properties or their destinations or their experiences. And of course, that's really what we're all about and what we're itching to do again. And then, like I mentioned, we're definitely going to save some time for Q&A, and I hope you'll stick around for that, because I think that's sometimes where the fun and deeper stuff goes, that if you have the question, chances are most everyone else does too. Okay, so let's do the poll. What I'm going to do is launch 2 polls. The first one, I'm launching right now, and you'll hopefully see it come up on your screen. When do you think you're going to take your next domestic vacation? So domestic meaning within the United States. Either you've already done it, or it's coming up yet this year, or you kind of have your sights set on for next year, or you're just not sure. So we have some results coming in. I'm going to give it another minute, and then I'll share the results so you can see them as well, because it's very interesting. In past, I've shared kind of what the national polls are. I'm not going to do that tonight because they continue to change, but we are almost always exactly in sync with what the national polls are saying. All right, I'll give it another minute, less than a minute, I should say, a couple seconds. Most everybody has weighed in. I'm going to end it, and I'm going to share the results, so you should see them on your screen. So really the big winner is 4th quarter this year. Good to see that about 62% still have our sights set on going somewhere domestically yet this year. A few of you, of course, are kind of just undecided, kind of wait and see and what's going on. So very, very fair. Good to know. And a lot of times we're talking to clients about domestic vacation. That might mean a road trip. It might be a short direct flight. Maybe you're going out to San Francisco, or you're going to Maine for the fall, or Vermont to see the colors. So very, very apropos of, I think, what we're seeing and discussing. All right, next poll, which is equally, if not more interesting, is, let me get it going here, is our second one is I'm launching now, is when do you think you're going to take your next international vacation? Same kind of date parameters, yet, you know, August, September, maybe by the end of the year. What's 2021 feeling like for you? So things are, people are weighing in. Click, you'll get one chance. You'll have to choose one answer. So if you could click on what resonates the most with you, at least at this point in time. Interesting. Give it a couple more seconds. If you haven't, please weigh in. All right, perfect. So very interesting, not surprising, but very interesting as I share with you. Most people are looking into 2021, which is very much, honestly, as we plan as a business, it's kind of what we're thinking too, because a lot of people, you know, with the little bit in the surge of cases here and Europe delaying letting us in and kind of the wait and see thing, we really do anticipate first quarter and definitely, you know, April, May, June, and on next quarter for international. When we say international, a lot of times you're thinking probably Europe or Africa or maybe Southeast Asia or other places. Sometimes people kind of lump domestic in with the Caribbean, even though technically it's international. A lot of people, when they're thinking October to December, they might be thinking, at least for us in the Midwest, a quick little jaunt to Cabo for a long weekend or something. So we don't always know exactly how people decipher those, but very, very interesting results and very in line, luckily, with kind of how we're feeling and thinking too, and kind of how we're monitoring the situation. So let me just start by saying, before we get to our speakers, a couple things. You know, we really are weighing, of course, what's going on out in the world, as you all are. We all have a lot of personal decisions we're making as kids start school or as grandchildren get back into things. So we have kind of good news and some challenges, right? And they kind of seem to fluctuate all the time. But the good news is, you know, on one hand, more places are starting to open up. They may have restrictions like COVID testing, pre-arrival and things like that. People are starting to understand what it's going to take to allow people in and putting those parameters in place. And others around the world, you know, we think in the US that we always think of ourselves first, but, you know, the Europeans are able to travel a little more. I hope that doesn't regress with some of the news lately, but others are traveling. The Chinese are traveling, and more places are opening up to them, not to us quite yet. So we'll get to that. There are more testing opportunities. You know, one thing that we talk a lot about is to make sure you understand if they will test you if you are asymptomatic. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, every day that passes, the vaccine is getting closer. I mean, that is a fact. If there's any camaraderie that's going on around the world, is that we have the world working on a vaccine right now, right? There's 15 to 20 plus viable options out there, and 3 of them, in fact, have entered phase 3 of testing, which is getting very close to final approval on mass production then. So that is also part of why we have our sights set on Q1 and Q2 of next year, because hopefully by then we will really know what the stage and what the timing is, because it could be approved and in production by then. So that's always good. Obviously, with the wait comes the challenges. Our little surge in the US of cases didn't help us and isn't helping us. You know, Hawaii did extend theirs, Europe extended theirs, the Bahamas and Puerto Rico retracted and said, just wait a little bit. You know, now, of course, in the newsletter this week, I'm putting an article in about state by state. You know, we're not even letting each other in. So we have got to get this thing under control. I don't want to get on my podium and talk about masks and stuff, because I know everybody has their own personal opinion and are entitled to it. But when you're in the travel business, and if you're on this call, it means you probably love to travel and can't wait. We need to get our act together, because it's just going to prolong, you know, the timing that it takes for others to let us in. Granted, I am super happy. Of course, no one would deny that the number of deaths and that number is lower statistically, which of course, who could not be happy about that? But for us, we really need to flatten and diminish the number of cases. And then one last thing that I wanted to share, you know, and I've had this slide in there just because it's so ironic, of course, the new face of travel. I've actually asked our speakers tonight to not talk a lot about this. They will. Some of them will give a nod to a few key things that they want to point out and what they're doing. But I want to use their, as I say, their valuable real estate and their time tonight on their destination and experiences, rather than rehashing what is travel going to look like. Trust me that they have been chosen because of what they are doing to secure our health and safety when we do travel. It was a big requirement when my team was talking about who should we ask to speak tonight. So just know that all of them are taking extreme measures, and our designers can help you fill in the blanks at any time with them or others. But because of that, let me just give you a couple really quick things. If you joined us in May and June, you've heard some of this, but let me reiterate, because it is evolving. Goes to show, and as you've seen in your communities, in your towns, in your states, masks will be part of daily life for a while, no exception in travel. Not only will airlines and the airports and mass transit and other things ask you to wear a mask, you will see the service providers, of course, wearing masks as well, which I think we've almost now started to come to expect a little bit. I know for me, if I see someone not wearing a mask now, I'm kind of like, you know, don't breathe on my food kind of thing. And of course, many destinations, like I mentioned, have evolved into requiring testing before arrival. So again, talk to your travel advisor. It depends on destination. It might depend on airline. It depends on a lot of factors, but we monitor it all the time. It's our job to know who's requiring testing. There's a couple different kinds of tests. We know that PCR is preferred. So little nuances that you may not be as ingrained into like we are. How far before boarding your plane does the test have to be valid from? Many are about 72 hours. So finding a testing facility that can test asymptomatic and will get your results back in time, you know, these are the things we're navigating, and it may help you come to a decision on a destination or an experience to have. So we will help you with all of that. And then of course, just, you know, it is kind of getting into more of a no contact or less contact type environment, less hands touching things or interactions. So, you know, check in at hotels over your phone, the option to keep housekeeping or not. Maybe you don't want someone coming into your room. Dinner reservations spread out over hours so that social distancing can happen. So some of those things are definitely real. They will be for a while. I think some of them we should keep forever. They were probably good practices that we should have had. I think we'll all welcome the day we don't have to wear a mask, but maybe some of these other things are actually probably good practices that we should have. But again, I really can't emphasize enough to use your travel designer for some of this information, because we'll help. And because what we're also, of course, trying to do is balance you. We need you to have an authentic experience wherever you go. And it's our job to help manage those expectations. So the speakers tonight, we work closely with them on if only 1 out of 4 restaurants at a hotel is open, we want to tell you that ahead of time, things like that. So just keep that in mind, use us as much as you can, and let's work together on getting us all out there when we personally feel comfortable and safe, of course, and you can help us judge what that means to you. All right, so again, before I introduce Fernanda, I want to say that we specifically chose these 4 partners because A, they're great partners to us. B, they are doing things that are making it very US friendly to either come to their destination, use their product or service or experience, and is really critical for, we could have short and medium term discussions about going to these places. So we wanted to, because we do get a lot of people asking, you know, where can I go? So hopefully this will give you some tangible ideas. Fernanda, if you want to give us, put your video on, that would be great. Fernanda Rosas is with Los Cabos Tourism Board. She is born and raised in Mexico, so you're going to feel her enthusiasm. She has an infectious love for this. Many of our clients have either been to Cabo or they go back time and time again. If not, we really wanted to bring your attention to it because it is an accessible destination from the US. It doesn't matter if you're in California or the Midwest or New York, there's tons of direct flights, and many of them are going to be, if they've been put on hold, they're coming back. She's got 20 plus years in travel and tourism. That will be a common thread you'll hear tonight. We're all very addicted and committed to travel and tourism. And before she joined the Cabo Tourism Board, she spent 12 years with the Mexico Tourism Board. So she is, needless to say, an extremely qualified person to share with us her love and her precious home right now with her family of Los Cabos. So Fernanda, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Linda, but somehow I can't
get your video on?
Nope.
All right, I will help you with that. Or just between Jess and I, we will help you. Let me just see here. Okay, there she is. Thank you.
There you go. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Linda, for inviting me. It means so much to us. And yes, we are campaign. Actually, it is for you guys to feel that Cabo is your home. So it's your home away from home. And I invite you to visit Los Cabos, www.visitloscabos.com, and you guys can actually take a look at our latest campaign. And it's fantastic because it's meant for you guys to come to Los Cabos and feel that you guys are home. So let's take a look at first of where are we located. So we are at the tip of the Baja Peninsula. And just a quick little note for you guys to know, the Baja Peninsula is actually a little bit longer than Italy. And well, it is just amazing because we are surrounded by the Sea of Cortez. And I am in love with the Sea of Cortez. It's actually ridiculous how crazy fantastic it is. And on the other side, we have the Pacific Ocean, and we are quite a particular destination because we have the desert and the mountains. So in this map, you can actually see, for example, you will arrive here. This is the airport, and this is how we look like. So we are 15 minutes away from San Jose del Cabo. And then in order to arrive to Cabo San Lucas, which is like where the marina is, where we have the famous arch, it's right here. And in between, we have a famous tourist corridor where we have a lot of hotels and golf courses. And then we have the new kids on the block, as I call them, East Cape, and here is the Pacific, where we have new hotels. Even if we're slowing down, we are still growing because we're gonna have 6,000 new rooms in a 7-year span. So we're growing. We're gonna have hotels like, wait, I forget the names because there are so many. We're gonna have a new Four Seasons, a new Haman, and San Regis. So why should Los Cabos be the first destination you guys visit when the time is right for each one of you? I'm gonna tell you why. First, because Los Cabos is, well, we are located, it's a mile long in the Baja Peninsula, and it's one of the most diverse tourism destinations in the world, boasting a dramatic desert backdrop nestled by the Pacific Ocean, as I said before, and the Sea of Cortez. We have an impressive desert landscape, and well, I think this is one of the best reasons to visit Los Cabos. Each of the two cities, basically San Jose del Cabo and Cabos San Lucas, has its own personality, and the sandy strip and the highway, which is known as a corridor, connects the two charming towns. So here I'm going to talk about the updates regarding COVID. I'm going to go really quickly. Just Los Cabos opened its doors on June 15 with 30% of the destination capacity. All the hotels have go through an inspection that certifies they comply with the protocols before opening. So they are consistent with health and safety guidelines. We have the World Travel and Tourism Council, the WTTC stamp, and we also have another stamp, another health protocol, which is the crystal certification, which is like super difficult to get. And everyone, like in the chain of like restaurants and DMC and everyone around us has to be certified in order to get approval. So if we are high-end in every single sense, you guys mean the world to us, so we're gonna take care of you. So again, why come to Los Cabos? Because we offer high-quality services, and it's one of the most important tourist destinations around the world. A fact that you might not know, we have more luxurious rooms per square feet than any other destination in America. And Los Cabos is a very high-end destination for those discerning travelers seeking serene infused with luxury. Of course, we have a list of celebrities coming like, I don't know, 4 times a year. We have new design properties throughout the region that create unparalleled to any other vacation spot in the world. We are all in need, I think. It's the sense of space. I mean, we've all been like, I don't know, it doesn't matter if you have an apartment or a huge house, we all feel that we need space, and Los Cabos has it all, right? So in the last decade, the number of visitors has increased substantially because of the natural beauty of the beaches that we have. And having this close encounter with impressive marine species, the charm of the communities, and the rich biodiversity that we have. So even if the destination grows, we have space. There's a feeling of space, peace, and relaxed atmosphere, like laid back luxury all across San Jose, San Lucas, and the tourist corridor. And you're gonna feel the close outdoor encounters when you come to Los Cabos because of, next slide, please. Okay, so I'm gonna stop a little bit because these are my favorite. I prepared for you guys. This is a personal presentation, and as I said before, I am completely in love and really passionate about the Sea of Cortez. So the Sea of Cortez is actually one of the wonders of the world if it would be up to me. It was named as the Aquarium of the World by Jacques Cousteau, because of the richness, because of the biodiversity, and because of, I don't know if you guys knew, but the pH of the water is different. So 30 different species can only live in the Sea of Cortez. If they go anywhere else, they would die. So you can find friendly sea lions, like a diverse kind of fishes, turtles, sharks and rays, whales and dolphins, sharks. It's like ridiculous. It's like being inside of the movie, the Nemo, Chasing Nemo or Dory. Next slide, please. So I'm gonna ask you please to close your eyes and imagine walking among sand dunes, limestone shrubs, and cacti, with the sun warming your skin, but softened by the fresh sea air coming from a paradise-like beach set just a few steps away. The desert and the beach just in one place. So I think this is exactly what you can find in Los Cabos, and this is just unique. And then if this is just not enough, you guys can find in Sierra de la Laguna, which is a protected UNESCO biosphere reserve in the Baja Peninsula. It's just like a jungle with the flora and fauna of the desert. It's like a fairy tale landscape, unlike anywhere you've ever seen. Like, it's ridiculous actually to find these two biodiverse, different landscape in the same space. And I am super proud. We're gonna launch actually in 2 weeks in Virtuoso Travel Week, a new wellness product that, again, we are so much in need of this. So it's really hard to imagine anything more like relaxing and at the same time reinvigorating than a unique, changing luxury experience that will leave you centered, revitalized, and in peace. And well, the name of this wellness experience is actually Healing in the Waters of the Sea of Cortez. And you will explore our unique cuisine through our flavors, textures, and essences. And you can choose a variety of healthy and organic products grown locally and farms in order to have the best farm-to-table experience, and do yoga in a mesmerizing sunrise in front of the arch. So this is gonna be just fantastic. And then I chose for you my favorite places in Cabo. So of course, at first is Cabo Pulmo, because it's a paradise, just a paradise that holds a national park title. So if you're after that kind of lost island sensation, you're gonna love it. It's truly secluded, undisturbed. It's just fantastic. And again, you can do scuba diving and you can do snorkeling, and it's fantastic. And again, I chose these places because they're very different one from the next. You can also go to Las Viudas, and it's a volcanic rock formations that surround the landscape at Las Viudas will surely take your breath away. And it will create just a memory that you guys are gonna take home, with a little coast creating nooks and crannies that work as hideouts. And then I would invite you guys to go to Todos Santos, but on the way you have to stop, and these beaches on the Pacific side, and it's just a tiny, charming little town with a strange name and just spectacular landscape. Very different from the landscape that you guys would see from Cabo Pulmo or from another beach like Bahia Santa Maria, that is on the other side, the Sea of Cortez. Bahia Santa Maria is another place that you guys are gonna feel that you are inside of a movie. It has many species of fish that inhabit these placid waters. You won't find any waves. And it has rocky cliffs and a wide beach of golden sand. And the last one is called La Playita, which is located by Puerto Los Cabos near San Jose. And in a few years, I'm telling you guys, this place will no longer be a hideout. But right now, you guys can come and spend a quiet little, I don't know, maybe a romantic time nowadays. So nowadays, it's very important for all of us to talk about sustainability. And I'm very proud and very passionate that Los Cabos is really committed to sustainability. It's not just a marketing slogan or a catchphrase. We are really committed to it. And 42% of the state of Baja California is considered as actually as a protected area. And if you drive from the airport to whatever place you go, you're never gonna see a billboard, for example. You guys are gonna see the sea. So it's gonna be just fantastic to drive and just have a fantastic view to the airport, to your hotel. And for people that tell me, I don't like Los Cabos because they're not, you guys do not have swimmable beaches. Well, we do have 22 swimmable beaches that are certified by Blue Flag. And well, if we talk about golf, we are the capital of golf in actually Latin America with outstanding golf courses, 18 of them. And well, if you guys need more information about Los Cabos, please visit our webpage and or sign up for our newsletter. We have Los Cabos Educational on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, or of course you have, like, I think really nowadays, more now than ever, your travel designer, Pique Travel, is going to be more important right now more than ever, because you're going to feel more protected and more safe to take a decision to where to go. And if you guys have any questions, of course, your travel designer is going to help you. And like, I don't know, an expert like Pique is more important now than ever. Thank you so much. And
thank you, Fernanda. So be using the chat function, type in your questions for Fernanda. She's going to hang on with us and be here till the end, so that again we can all come back for Q&A at the end. So thank you, my friend. You can tell she is very passionate. She lives there. Her family's there. She's been living and breathing it, and I know it's very high on our list. We really want to see the whales and enjoy the Sea of Cortez for all the reasons that she mentioned. Okay, now we're going to move a little south and a little east. And thank you, Christine. Sure. So we are moving to Belize, and what Christine represents tonight is Coppola Hideaways. So she's going to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be in Belize, and about a couple of amazing properties that she works with Francis Ford Coppola and their team at the Hideaways. Just so you know, and for those of you who know us well, Belize is very much in our hearts. Jim and I have both been 4, 5, 6 times. I'm not even sure. Several people on our team have been there. We very much love it. Christine has dedicated more than 30 years of her life to travel and tourism. So clearly it's in her blood as well. She's done sales and marketings for a variety of hotels, individuals, and brands, Mandarin Oriental, Kimpton, Omni, list goes on. But now she's with the Coppola Hideaways, and she's been there almost 8 years. So Christine, please take it away.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you to, we overuse the word in our business partners, but really Linda, Aaron, and Jim are our friends. I've been fortunate to be on a trip to Belize with Erin. She's truly a pal at this point, and you're phenomenal partners and an extension of our family and the business, really. I am fortunate to be an employee of Francis Ford Coppola and his family, and I'm going to educate you on one of our destinations. We have more than, but tonight we're focused on Belize, which makes sense because it's going to be the first destination we'll be opening to American travelers. So we can jump to the next slide, Linda. Yeah, this is the one thing I can show that nobody else can show, right? We are owned by a maker, a filmmaker, a winemaker, and the emphasis is on the word maker. He, I swear to you, is involved in all the details. I love that about Francis. He's actually talked about how other celebrities have licensed out their names on products or experiences, and it was important to him that anything that has his name on it is a work of art that he's involved in every detail and curating. We can move on from this slide. So he actually also, I refer to him as the accidental hotelier. He had no intention of being in the hotel business. He actually intended to buy an island in the Philippines where he shot Apocalypse Now. And his wife of more than 50 years now said, Francis, you just bought a winery in Napa. We're not going to spend time in the Philippines anytime soon. You have to figure out how to make wine. So years later, with that pent-up need and interest in finding a destination like the Philippines, he heard about Belize in the early 80s, that it was about to go independent, formerly known as British Honduras. And he traveled there with his eldest son. And he discovered Volcanoes Lodge. That's the triangle you see there in the center of the screen. It is the first property that he created. And we can jump to the next slide. What these two properties have in common, I'm going to talk about three. We actually have three destinations in Belize, is they're all very remote, sustainable, much like Fernanda spoke to in her presentation, secluded and private by design. Now, a lot of places say that they've got privacy and seclusion. Imagine we're owned by a celebrity. He stays at these properties all the time. And while he's generous and accessible to the public, if they run into him on the beach, he wants his vacation to have some privacy and seclusion. He does not want to be in a mass tourist location. So Volcanoes was the first here on the left. If you want to jump to the next slide, Linda, we'll zoom in on it so you get a sense of how remote it is, up on a mountaintop in Belize. For those of you watching who may have traveled to Costa Rica, but Belize is similar in that you want to have an inland jungle experience that's more Mayan ruins oriented, more active, more river caves oriented, and you want to combine it with the sea. So this gives you a sense of how remote Volcanoes Lodge is on that river. And if we go next, you'll see Turtle Inn. The area of Belize that is much more developed is Ambergris Caye, but Turtle Inn is in the south, in Sensia. So much more remote area and less tourist driven than the seafront area in Ambergris Caye. And again, an intimate property with just a number of cottages and villas right on the Caribbean. You can see on the map here how close they are to one another. It's actually really easy in 7 to 10 days to combine both. We can jump to the next slide. And I always like to say, why Belize? Because I have to tell you right now, I'm going to Cabo soon, the Los Cabos presentation. For me living in San Francisco, I'm looking forward to a change of scenery, and I love Los Cabos. But I'll explain what's unique about Belize and why you'd come here. We can zoom in on that first photo. For those of you who might not know, Belize has the second largest barrier reef in the world, second only to Australia. So it really is known for its amazing snorkeling, whether you're doing some snorkeling here as our general manager is with the turtles. If you happen to be fortunate enough to come during whale shark season, which is something the destination is known for, or even if you're a less experienced snorkeler and you just want to stay by the reef and see all these beautiful fish, it's approachable for beginners. And of course, divers, we PADI certify guests right at Turtle Inn. But you combine that with those inland experiences. It's not just about the sea, it's about waterfalls. This is a 40-minute hike from Volcanoes Lodge, our inland property. So either ride our horses or take a hike there. Cave experiences. This particular one is Barton Creek, where you really do nothing. The guide takes you through the cave and you see amazing Mayan artifacts. And then, of course, what Belize is probably most known for are these temples, these Mayan ruins. And I find people of all ages love the archaeological education about Mayan history. We can jump on to the next slide. But then we'll get back to our resorts. You're getting a sense of the destination and the things you would do while you're there, but why would you choose the Coppola properties? And how are they unique to the other many beautiful resorts that are in the area? I love to say that, again, Frances being charged of the details, dwellings versus guest rooms. We don't call our accommodations suites, rooms, accommodations, or guest rooms. They're dwellings. You're meant to dwell here. Every accommodation, regardless if you're at Turtle Inn here on the left, which we can zoom in on, is an individual thatched roof dwelling, either a 1 or 2 bedroom cottage. We have a couple that are actually even larger than that. Some have private pools like this one. And then if we move on to the next image, you'll see what the interiors look like of a guest room at Turtle Inn. This happens to be a 2-bedroom right on the sea. So we know post-COVID, we're seeing the trend, and I'm sure our partners at Peak Travel are seeing it. People don't necessarily want corridors, elevators, big box hotels. They want to be in their own confined space, still connected to nature, feeling very safe, but feel like more they have a home when they're at a getaway, but all the resort services you'd want, which you might not get in more of an Airbnb kind of experience, right? Other things that differentiate the Coppola experiences in Belize is amenities, amenities, amenities. So I highlight just 2 restaurants, one at each property here. Volcanoes Lodge, we'll zoom in on the organic garden. The first time I traveled to our hotels almost 8 years ago, I spoke to guests right away. Why did you choose us? What did you like? How did you come to a decision? And one of the things they said was, well, we wanted adventure, especially for our young kids, to take them out, get them off screens and be active and do things together as a family. But we as parents did not want to suffer bad food and wine. And I love that at Volcanoes, this is one of 3 dining experiences, and perhaps my favorite. You can have a 3-course vegetarian meal in the organic garden with the head gardener giving you a tour of the organic gardening practices. And you sit under that palapa and you will not miss meats because it's such a lush experience. But that's one of 3 choices. So with only 20 guest rooms, that kind of variety in dining is kind of unheard of. And I can assure you we're the only ones in Belize that provide more than 1 dining experience per property. And then I'm going to highlight in the next slide just one again of the 3 restaurants at Turtle Inn, and there's actually 5 cuisines at Turtle Inn, if you can imagine. This is our main restaurant, Mari. We have a 1,200 bottle wine cellar here. So again, adventure, snorkeling, Mayan ruins, but still a fantastic bottle of wine awaits you at the end of your evening. So that's important to me as a traveler anyway. What else can I share? We'll jump to a couple more slides on this. Again, to that privacy and seclusion I spoke to earlier. This highlights this first slide, which we'll zoom in on, Volcanoes Lodge. That is one of our dwellings there. Look at how private it is. It's sitting with its own private pool, not another guest room in sight. This happens to be a luxury cabana. We have several of these accommodations. Again, no matter the accommodation that you choose working with Peak Travel, it will be its own individual little home while you're there, whether 1 or 2 bedroom. And then moving on to probably our most remote, Coral Key. This is one of the newest additions to our collection. As the story goes, one day our fantastic general manager of Turtle Inn had Francis and his family in house and said, you know, Francis, Belize is all about the keys, these great little charming private islands. We need a key. We need a private island. So they went out and looked at this private island, and the next thing we knew it was part of our portfolio. So this is always a privatized experience. It's a Castaway, Robinson Crusoe. The whole island is yours, whether you're a couple, an individual, or a family of 10. 20-minute boat ride away from Turtle Inn, meals inclusive, phenomenal price point, and the best partners to book it with everything I'm speaking to is Peak Travel. There's lots of benefits to partnering with them for your booking that you would not receive if you book directly with us. We take really extra special care of their travelers. And of course, Turtle Inn, this speaks again to that remote setting, that seclusion, that privacy. I love to point out that on the beach and even by the pool, you won't see the sea of chairs. Again, that is a Francis detail. He does not like the idea of people having to get up an hour earlier than they want and reserve a chair, and he doesn't like this mass tourism look of 100 chairs lined up on the beach. There's actually no chairs on the beach. There's a beach captain that will approach you as a couple or as a family and say, can I please set up for you? And then you'll have your own special private area on the beach. We can jump to the next slide. And one more after this. Culture, I did mention Mayan ruins. I also want to mention this is Tikal right over the border in Guatemala. Not open yet in Guatemala to American tourists. We'll wait and see, but Belize is opening soon, August 15th, but we're going to open our resorts November 1. I also like to point out that culture can be accessed on horseback. We have 16 horses in our stables at Volcanoes Lodge. And then finally, although it might be a while before this comes on board, local festivals. This is actually over the border in Guatemala, but there's some great festivals that happen in the towns of Belize as well that we take our travelers or guests to on a regular basis. And then I always like to point out the real deal, which is it's the team. It's not how pretty a guest room is or an accommodation. It's not how perfect the beach is. It's not you know, how wonderful the glass of wine tastes. It's about the experience you have with our team. This is Suseli, one of our servers, who also juggles as she is here and acts as a butler. So she can be your private attendant for your stay, for the whole stay if you prefer. We've actually had guests that have stayed with us and had Suseli as their butler who've asked to take her on vacation to Wyoming and other places because they've fallen in love. She's a member of their family. I think that might, last slide, one of the last two. My general managers, Bernie will greet you. He at Volcanoes Lodge. He's been there 25 years. And Aaron and Jim and Linda know Martin. He's on the road with me quite often at sales events, a lover of dogs, and the general manager of Turtle Inn and Coral Key. I can assure you you'll meet these gentlemen when you stay at our hotels. This is a joyful shot. We all need more joy with what we've been dealing with lately, of a group of friends enjoying Coral Key and jumping off the boat dock there. We are reopening November 1st. We do have protocols we can educate you on, and Linda can educate you on, like the 72-hour test, things that you're going to expect to see. And I'm going to stick around for any questions about the destination of Belize and these special places.
Thank you, Christine.
Sure.
It goes without saying, our love for Belize is super deep. So Aaron, Jim, I, and several of us love to talk Belize. So even if you're remotely curious, please ask us about it. We'll talk about the ability to plan ahead a little bit. As Christine said, November 1st is when they're opening the Coppola properties. So we're looking so forward to that. All right, let's keep moving. Our next speaker, we wanted to balance tonight, especially our first three speakers, with a mix of destination, experiences. Obviously, there's plenty of amazing properties to go around. They're all getting extra certifications, as Fernanda said, and taking extra steps. But we turned to a great partner that several of us love to use, and it's Steve's group at Villas of Distinction. The reason we love it, and many of you are probably feeling this too, is ironically, villa and home rentals already was a pretty surging trend. A lot of people, whether it's a couple just to have their private space, might be a couple families or a multi-gen family going together, or it might be 5 couples going together for a getaway. It was already rising in popularity, but even more so now, because some people, want their own private space. They might feel like they can control it a little bit better. Others want the amenities of a resort, and that's fine. We'll help you figure out what's best for you. But Steve Lastman is here with Villas. He serves as their vice president. He oversees the travel agent relationship. So thank you, Steve. And their product, which is over 3,000 properties around the world. We asked Steve, he's going to talk a bunch about a bunch of things, but we asked him to focus a little bit more on Jamaica and some of the US product, because again, trying to keep within that friendly discussion of short and medium term, of course, long term for sure, of course, but if for those of you who are looking to get away a little bit sooner than later. Steve is there, of course, part of Virtuoso too, which we're always a slight bit biased to because they're vetted and great partners to us. Steve personally has actually been nominated for an Ambassador of the Best award by his peers and the advisors, so love that. So we'll let Steve take over and talk to us a little bit about their collection of villas.
Linda, thank you so much. I hope you can keep up with me because we are going to move quickly. But before we go back to that first screen, before we move, this is a bow to Fernanda. Fernanda, this is Casa Fraiser, a 6-bedroom, 6-bath villa in San Jose del Cabo. I wanted to give a little shout out to Los Cabos, even though we're talking about Jamaica and domestic. I'm sorry, Christina, I didn't know you were going to be here, or I would have thrown a Belize picture in somewhere as well. So here is Casa Fraiser. So let's talk about villas. If you've never stayed in a villa, I want to talk to you about the high value experience. And please notice the photos throughout, because these homes are spectacular throughout. I tried to bring different products, different destinations in on the photos for you to see, and we'll talk a little bit about that. When you talk about villas, you talk about a lot of things. You talk about the cost per person is often less than a compatible hotel. I can assure you that that's going to be the case in 90% of the time. We're going to talk a little bit about Orlando, and I have some Orlando product here, but just to give you a taste of that cost per person, I have a 12-bedroom villa, which we're going to share with you, that goes for just under $2,000 a night. 12-bedroom, 12-bath. That's $166 per bedroom per night, and it's compatible when we get to it to the Grand Floridian, which the Grand Floridian is anywhere from $500 to $700 a night. So the money that you're going to be saving when you stay in a villa is absolutely incredible. There is far more space than obviously in a traditional resort, because you have your bedroom and bath like you do in your hotel or resort, but we also give you your own private kitchen, your own private living room, your media room, your own private swimming pool, your own bedrooms. I mean, so everything, so much more space. And what's great about it now, post-COVID, is because you have so much space, you have plenty of social distancing if you need it. You're only going to be traveling with the people that you want to travel with and stay with. We never rent a portion of the villa to any other guest. You have the entire house. Your food and beverage expenses are going to be significantly lower, and we're going to talk about Jamaica with personal chefs that come with it, but you're paying grocery store pricing and getting restaurant quality meals. But it's really not just about the villa itself, it's about the experience, and that's what Linda and her team working with us do. We create the experience for you, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get through this. You can go to the next. So you have complete privacy, like I said, and again, this is one of our villas in Orlando. You don't have to share a pool with 100 guests. Next. You have total freedom, again, from start to finish. It's what you want in the comfort of your own home. If you want to have a character breakfast in Disney at your villa, we will bring the characters to the villa. You don't have to run to Disney, get in line with 30 other families for a 10-second photo with a character. We'll bring the character to you. So you can skip the cramped hotel with the hefty dollar signs, as it says, and create a much greater value for yourself in the villa. But, you know, we're talking post-COVID, so we did want to come out with our peace of mind policy, which I know Linda and her team is very aware of. It's a couple of things. Number one, it's about rebooking procedures, which we've moved all of our guests that were scheduled to travel due to COVID now into 2021 with no additional charge. We're also getting relaxed payment terms for future bookings so that you don't have to lay out as much money as far in advance like you did in the past. We're also working with many homeowners to get escrow accounts. So your money goes into escrow in the unlikely event that something like this would happen again. We offer 1 to 42 bedrooms in 52 destinations around the globe. We're all throughout the world and we're talking about pricing from as low as $255 all the way up to $50,000 per night. Keep going. Our concierge is there to talk about the dream, about creating the experience. Just keep going. Our concierge is to do just about anything that you want for your vacation. You want yoga classes in your villa? Done. You want a live band at your villa? Done. You want cooking classes in your villa? Done. You want Christmas trees delivered? You want Cirque du Soleil dancers at your wedding? We can do all of that. We had a guest that wanted a signed picture of George Clooney on the transfer bus at her wedding in Italy. done. We had a guest that had a special needs child that wanted us to bring a dolphin so her child could swim with the dolphin at the villa. We couldn't do that, but we did find a sea lion, and we brought a sea lion to the villa so the special needs child could swim with a sea lion. We will look after every detail for you. Celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries. I'm free of cancer for a year, proposals, you name it, we will make it the event that you remember. So we do have villas fit for everyone's style, whether it's a chateau in France, you want the ultimate getaway at Sweet Bocas in Panama, which Christina talked about, ultimate getaways. We have Villa Julia, where there is no better view in Positano than Villa Julia here. You're a wine and cigar aficionado, Villa Manzu in Costa Rica. You want a cabin out west for your ski or spring or summer, we have that. Or you just want dinner on the beach for 8 at my favorite property, which is Serenity on the Beach in Jamaica. So Linda asked me to talk a little bit about Jamaica, so we're going to talk about Jamaica. This is what makes Jamaica, that smile that you just saw. Here's an example of, thank you for going back, that is the smile of the butler greeting you when you come to your villa, and he is there to take care of everything possible for you. So all of our villas in Jamaica come with a full staff. That means chef, butler, laundress, housekeeper, pool boy, gardener, nighttime security. Most of our properties are in gated communities, but the tourism department in Jamaica requires all villa owners to have nighttime security as well. So you always have a security guard on property from dusk till dawn. So this is an example of Aqua Bay at the Trial Club. So this is the best of both worlds. This is in an actual club, which is like a resort where you have 4-bedroom, 5.5 bath, sleeping up to 10 guests. And look at this. This is what you get for your money. Absolutely incredible, impeccable. That gym has probably never been used because who uses a gym on vacation? Next. But this is what I want to talk about, this view. This is where your chef will prepare your breakfast, what you want, not off a menu, what you decide. This is where they'll prepare your dinner. You want fresh fish? You'll see the fishermen out in the ocean at night catching the fresh fish. They will come up to the shore in the morning. Your chef will go out. You're welcome to go out with them, and you can pick the fresh fish right off the boat, and it'll be on your plate that night. They take care of everything. And I just imagine sitting in those 2 lounge chairs, waiting for my butler to bring me my glass of wine, my beer, and all my food during the time. Now, this is Serenity on the Beach. This is where I stay when I go to Jamaica. I've stayed here 8 times. Why do I stay here? Because it has the best chef and best butler in all of Jamaica. It is very casual. It's a laid-back 4-bedroom, 4-bath villa, and it does offer up to 8 guests. Keep going. And as you can see, very Caribbean in style. Next, this is Maud. As I was talking about the fresh fish, this is Maud talking to a fisherman who's bringing his local lobster up to the shore, and you pay the fisherman, so you're not paying double restaurant prices for your lobster. So now let's move along. We're going to go talk about the United States. If you're a name dropper and love to stay in a house that was owned by somebody famous, I know we talked about Francis Ford Coppola. Here we have Marvin Hamish's home in West Hampton. He doesn't live there anymore, but he did. So you'll never know what music did he write there. In Orlando, which is our #1 family destination, this is where you get incredible product. This is one of the kids' bedrooms. This is the Moana bedroom. So they're actually sleeping on the Moana raft. Keep going. And I talked about the character breakfast. Here's a family who actually sent us a picture of their character breakfast. Now, one of my favorite resorts in Orlando is Nona. Now, all of our resorts are in gated community called Reunion. Reunion is about a 15-minute drive from the main gate at Walt Disney World's transportation and 35 minutes from Universal Studios, so very, very close. This is Nona. This is a 12-bedroom, 12.5 bath, and as you can see, priced from under $2,000 a night. Again, if you like name dropping with celebrities, this is where we had Lady Gaga stay with us. Go to the next slide. You'll see a full-size bowling alley in this room, a game room, a home theater. It has a full-court basketball court, a squash court, a Turkish bath with sauna steam room. Those chairs are heated, has a beautiful swimming pool and a sunken fire pit. Can you imagine a rainy day? Look at this. There's your basketball court. The basket comes down from the ceiling, or a squash court. There's your theater room. Amazing. We have villas with ice skating rinks in them, laser tags, lazy rivers. Here's Tranquility, another one of my favorite. This is one of the kids' bedrooms. This is the Star Wars bedroom. In that little area of the Star Wars bedroom, there's a Xbox game so the kids can play Xbox. Through that little hut is a little secret room that the kids can go play in, which is another playroom. It's the Nemo room. Keep going. But we don't forget about the adults. Look at this gorgeous swimming pool. Up top, you have this beautiful outdoor bar area. If you could see the 4-screen TVs, we do a lot with this villa for Super Bowl, a lot of Super Bowl parties. So it's a great place for guys as well, or the family. And again, under $2,000 a night for 12 bedrooms, $166. Now this is Rosalie. Look, from under $900 a night, and check this out. This one has a golf simulator and an ice skating rink. So if it's a rainy day in Orlando and you're wondering, what am I going to do with the kids? We can take care of them. They can find something to do in your villa. Now we're going to move to one of our new destinations. This is my postcard villa. This is the Bear Den Lodge in Big Sky, Montana. Believe it or not, that villa is 4 bedrooms. Look at the size of that and look at that postcard. Can you imagine waking up and seeing those mountains every day? It's absolutely incredible. Go to the next slide. Brown Bear Chalet in Springboat Springs, Colorado. Again, beautiful product. Keep going. My favorite villa on the Big Island of Hawaii, Arta Villa. You should see the views from this villa. If I had more time, I was told I had to squeeze to 10 minutes, so I didn't want to share too many photos, but look at this gorgeous villa. Again, under $4,000 a night. This is in the Hamptons. This is a 5-bedroom, 7-bath, and that little walkway there leads you right to the beach. So you are beachfront in Long Island. Keep going. There's the picture in the upper left-hand corner showing you that location. Now we also have, right there, a little arrow to the beach. Moving along to California, this is Contemporary Dreams in Palm Springs. Look at that absolutely stunning view of the mountains. It is, and look at the price. I mean, this is just incredible that what you're getting for your vacation. And again, it's not just about the home, it's about creating the experience. This is one of our newest properties. We just brought it online 3 weeks ago, Villa Salt Acre in Stonington, Connecticut. It is on its own little inlet. Look at this absolutely phenomenal property. We've already booked it twice in 3 weeks. It is just absolutely stunning inside and out. We also have Las Vegas, where if you want to do a one-night stay, there is no better view in Las Vegas than the Nobu Villa. This villa has the best view of the Strip. If you're wondering how much this one is, it does say price negotiable. If you're gambling or you're doing food and beverage, the price will come down. If you just say, I don't want to do any of that, it's $30,000 a night. And this is your beautiful 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. This is a sneak peek. I just got this yesterday. I'm signing the contracts today as we speak. It's not even furnished yet, but this is Villa Osprey in Port Washington, Long Island. 11 bedrooms, 11.5 bathrooms. An absolute stunner at $15,000 a night. And of course, most important, and Linda, I think I did really good because you know we were worried about me getting through my slides. We love travel advisors, and we know you will too, and we know you do because you're here. And this is what we talk about when we're talking to consumers like yourself. We want you to know that we want you to use a travel advisor. We don't want you calling us. You go to our website, it says we highly recommend using a travel advisor. And then in our messaging, why use a travel advisor? Because they are your best resource. They work for you. They are the best at what they do. We love them. We've been working with Virtuoso and Pique for over 13 years. We've had great customers that we've taken care of. And most importantly, and I didn't have a chance to say this, but Linda, as you know, not a single villa goes on our site unless it's vetted, inspected, and guaranteed for quality. We visit every villa at least once a year. That's why we only have just over 3,000 villas. Now, that sounds like a lot, but when you think about like some of those consumer sites that are out there, they have 5 million, 6 million. That's impossible to vet. That's why we don't want to have the most villas. We just want to have the best villas. We want to make sure that when you go away, you don't have to worry. You're not calling Linda saying, Linda, what did you put me in? You're calling Linda to go, oh my God, I want to book this again. So would love to have you come stay at one of our villas. I know this was really quick. I was forced to be very quick today, and to force a New Yorker to talk in 10 minutes is a very difficult task. But Linda, I accomplished it. I hit the mission, and I will tell you, because we didn't mention it, but it was in one of my slides, all of our villas that we have in our portfolio, must adhere to the Villa Rental Management Association's health and safety guidelines for cleanliness, for staff, how the staff interacts with you. Your luggage, when you go to one of our villas, your luggage is going to be disinfected before it's brought into the villa. In Jamaica, we even thought about, we used to greet you at the door with all of the staff with a drink, with a cold towel. No more cold towel, because we're not sure if that's going to, hold germs or interact in any way. So we took it out. We're thinking of your safety and your health. So it has been my absolute pleasure to be here. I'm sorry it was so fast. I'm going to hang out for questions. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Sorry. I feel like I should allow you to breathe now. And you guys who are on, our travelers and clients and friends, thank you for sticking with us, because I think you can tell the passion runs so deep among all of us that it's so hard to keep it. But I'm going to transition. Kelly pops up automatically. I love it. That we, in peak fashion, we had to throw in something a little aspirational, for two reasons. One is I talked about the first three, very short term, yet this year, a lot of you said you want to go someplace closer to home. Q1 might be a little getaway or festive, depending on location. But we are going to encourage you to plan ahead. And many, many of you have gorilla trekking on your wander list. And that is why we have invited Kelly to come and talk with us. Kelly's been a longtime friend of Pique. Her love for Africa runs super deep. She's toggled between a few different things, but many revolved around Africa. Her last gig has now landed her earlier this year at Volcanoes Safaris. So I'm gonna just cut to the chase and turn it over to her, because this is one of those destinations that is very limited in terms of park permits and other things Kelly will talk about, but it does require planning ahead. So hopeful that a vaccine will be coming, in the next 6 to 9+ months-ish. This is when we plan 12 to 18 months out. So if this is on your wander list, that's why we invited Kelly to come talk and share her passion tonight. Kelly, I'll leave it up to you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Linda. I'm very happy to be a part of tonight. What a great initiative. And I'm always thrilled to talk about Africa, specifically Volcanoes Safaris. And I will just say, bouncing off what you just mentioned about planning ahead, for the first couple months this year, from when the pandemic hit, we really were rescheduling pretty much all of our bookings and not taking a whole lot of new bookings, right? I'm sure a lot of hotels and lodges are feeling that way. But we have started to get new bookings trickling in, and a lot of them are actually for 2022. So I think people realize there's pressure mounting on next year with all the rollovers and the demand. And so, with this destination, as I go through the presentation and get you excited about visiting Rwanda and Uganda, it's absolutely not too early to start thinking about 2022, end of 2021. We would love to help work with you guys to put that together. But so some background on the destinations themselves and Volcanoes Safaris. So we have 4 luxury lodges in Uganda and Rwanda. You can see the map here. Rwanda is kind of sandwiched between the DRC, Tanzania, and Burundi. I'm sure you're all familiar with Tanzania and Kenya. They're kind of the most iconic safari destinations, or 2 of the most iconic safari destinations in Africa. Rwanda and Uganda are their neighbors, lesser known neighbors, but just as spectacular, just as special, very, very different. And we have our Virunga Lodge located in Rwanda, short drive from Kigali. And we have 3 lodges, Chambura Gorge Lodge, Bwindi Lodge, and Ankahinga Lodge, all located in Uganda. And when people think about going to Uganda, Rwanda, typically, as Linda mentioned in my introduction, they are keen to go because of the gorillas. And, I'm not one to deny the fame of the gorillas and the majesty of the gorillas and just the utter uniqueness of the gorillas and the trekking experience. But there is a lot more to the destination than just the gorillas. And one of my personal favorite things about the destination is just the sheer beauty of the landscape, of the terrain, of the views, and really of the country itself. So this picture, real quick, this is actually a view from our Virunga Lodge, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This is at sunrise. So if you stay with us, speaking about exclusivity, speaking about, you know, just really stunning kind of off the beaten path destinations, you could wake up and watch sunrise overlooking these lakes. So really, really gorgeous. But then, of course, we do have the mountain gorillas. And the mountain gorillas are spread between the DRC, Uganda, and Rwanda. There's, gosh, I want to say around 3,000 mountain gorillas, not all of which you can trek. There are several trekkable families in both Uganda and Rwanda, and trekking is a full-day activity. So you wake up at the crack of dawn, you enjoy your beautiful sunset on your terrace with your coffee, you're driven to the park head, and you're assigned your gorilla family. Let's say, for example, you're trekking in Rwanda at Volcanoes National Park. There are 10 habituated families of gorillas there. So you could be assigned any one of those families based on your fitness, based on your interests, on the size of your group. And then you set off for that family. And one of the most popular questions I'm always asked is, you know, how fit do you have to be to trek the gorillas? And my kind of party line is that, you know, it's not Kilimanjaro. You do not have to be physically fit enough to hike a mountain. It is not that severe. I always just really recommend you are a confident walker, you're a strong walker. You're not hiking anything, you're not mountaineering, you're not scrambling. It's really just a walk in the woods. But that walk in the woods can look really different depending on which family you get, what the weather was like the day before, the dynamics of the group, so on and so forth. And then once you do find the gorillas, like this young woman here, you get to spend 1 hour observing them in their natural habitat. So habituated gorillas, this means they are completely wild. They live in the forest, in the national park. They go wherever they want to go, whenever they want to go. It just so happens that they are accustomed to experiencing or living with humans. And the habituation process takes many, many years, a couple years at least, to habituate a family of gorillas. But it means that they are comfortable with you being there. They expect to see you every day. They expect for you to observe them. And of course, each gorilla has their own individual personalities, some posing for the cameras, others being very bashful. It really depends. So it's just a wonderful experience. Beyond the gorillas, although they're definitely kind of our claim to fame, or the claim to fame of the region, we have a lot of other primates as well. These little guys are quite adorable, really fun to trek as well. The golden monkeys, this is another half-day activity, something you can do from either our Mount Kahinga Lodge or our Virunga Lodge, and really, really fun. This is a little more physically demanding, as they tend to be quicker and move around a bit more, but really kind of exciting to see them as well. They're quite small and agile. And as well, we have the chimpanzees. So chimpanzees are probably not as well known as the gorillas, but made famous by Jane Goodall and her work in chimp conservation in Tanzania and Uganda. Really amazing creatures. We are incredibly close in DNA to the gorillas, but even closer in DNA to the chimpanzees. So when you're looking into the eyes of a chimp, you truly feel like you're looking into the eyes of a cousin. It's really quite remarkable. I mean, just look at the toes, look at the fingers, you know, and even the ears. They're beautiful, and also really fun to trek as well, another half-day activity. And although we are famous for our primates and our monkeys, we do have over 3,000 species of birds as well, 1,000 alone in just Uganda. So if you're a birder, I would highly recommend put Uganda, Rwanda on your list if it isn't already. Uganda in particular, Uganda is a much larger country than Rwanda. It has a bit more of a diverse landscape. You've got the Savannah Park, you've got the wetlands, you've got the big lakes, you've got the mountains. So they really do attract birds of all types. You also have in the Savannah Parks, which I just mentioned, for example, Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda, you have a lot of the more traditional plains games, such as the Ugandan cob, which you can see here is the, or the very special tree climbing lions of the Shasha sector of Queen Elizabeth National Park. So, you know, I've been to Africa, gosh, 16, 17 times, and I've been on safari in the Serengeti and the Masai Mara. I've been on safari in South Africa. I've been on a cruise down the Chobe River in Botswana, and you know, every safari experience is unique and special. what I can say about Uganda, Rwanda is that it's just incredibly different. It's not at all going to compete or compare with perhaps other safari destinations, but what it offers is completely unique to the destination itself. For example, the gorillas, of course, you cannot get those anywhere else. The tree climbing lions, you cannot get them anywhere else. And then you also have the people and the culture, which is unique to the destination and really, really special. This is a picture of the Intore dance group that our partnership trust actually supports. So a group of young dancers that are Intore, I-N-T-O-R-E, it actually means the dance of kings. So it's a really beautiful dance that you can experience while at our Virunga Lodge in Rwanda, to give you a taste of the Rwandan culture. We also do a lot of community work with the Batwa. The Batwa are the marginalized, indigenous kind of, those who should have perhaps inherited the land that were gazetted and removed from the national parks by the government and deemed what we call today conservation refugees. So we've worked with them to create a community for them, a village for them, support for them, and learning about their plight, their history is incredibly fascinating. And of course, what we're doing to combat that. So really quickly now, I'll run through the lodges. We've got 4 beautiful properties. This right here, you're looking at our Virunga Lodge. So it sits on the top of a mountain. The eastern side of the lodge itself faces the Twin Lakes, which you saw earlier. The western terrace or the western cottages face the Virunga chain of volcanoes. So you either have a lake view or you have a volcano view. Either way, quite extraordinary. We also have Mount Gahinga Lodge. This is more of our kind of mountain, very cozy mountain lodge on the Ugandan side in southern Uganda. Here you can also trek the gorillas. You can also trek the golden monkeys. You can visit the Batwa and have a more cultural experience or a cultural focus. It's been beautifully redone recently. They've got a couple of gorgeous deluxe bandas as well as 8 standard bandas. So just really lovely. And then we've got Bwindi Lodge. All of our lodges, as you can probably tell as we're flipping through, are really incredibly unique, each with their own distinct view and appreciation for nature and their surroundings. Bwindi Lodge, as you can see here, actually sits on the edge of Bwindi Impenetrable Forest, which is the most popular gorilla trekking destination in Uganda. Something just to note here, differences between Uganda and Rwanda, they often come up. Uganda is a bit more kind of wallet friendly or economic. So if you are having a hard time deciding and you're looking to perhaps save a couple of dollars, consider Uganda. Rwanda's a little bit more logistically simple, but of course consult with Peak Travel and they'll give you the best advice they can because each experience and destination is different. And then last but not least, we have Chambora Gorge Lodge. This is a really special place. The property itself sits on the edge of Chambora Gorge, which is home to an endangered chimp family. 27 chimps live in the gorge, and they have been isolated from the rest of the forest. So they're fascinating. You can track them. You can also go on game drive in Queen Elizabeth National Park. You can visit the tree climbing lions if you're lucky. You can go on a wetland walk, you can go on a gorge walk, you can plant a tree, you can visit our community projects. And then this is just a shot of some of our interiors. You know, I wanted to give you an idea of the look and the feel. Our lodges are very down to earth. They're of course incredibly luxurious. You have everything you could possibly want. This big, beautiful fireplace is always at the center of all of our properties. It really is the heart of the lodges. And we also have lots and lots and lots of outdoor space. So in terms of, you know, COVID, we are looking at, you know, private dining, obviously socially distanced dining. There will be no buffet dining. There never was buffet dining. There won't be any dining together as a group, which you may have often experienced on safaris previously. All individual private dining. We have loads and loads of outdoor space, terraces. We have private dining rooms as well. You can and then this is a shot of one of the interiors of our Chambora Gorge Lodge, which was recently refurbished. So really simple, but very true to the destination. If you've been on safari before, you know that there's a very typical safari aesthetic. It's often quite colonial in look and feel, and that is not at all what we were going for. We wanted a lodge that really spoke to the unique destination that is, Uganda, that is Rwanda. So we're using all locally sourced materials, all of the wood in the roofing, all of the wood to create the furniture is local wood or volcanic stone, for example, in the bathrooms. We have our own, the volcanic stone you can see here, really quite beautiful. So spacious, light, airy, luxurious, but not over the top, not intimidating, very, very accessible, and very unique to our aesthetic. And then, of course, we've got the pool at Chambora with the beautiful views of the savannah. And we do have different levels of spas at our various properties as well. This is our spa that we put in just, I think, about 2 years ago at Virunga Lodge in Rwanda. So really lovely. And then last but not least, I wanted to, speaking of famous guests, everyone's talking about the famous guests that they host. Well, we have our own version of famous guests, and these are actually the gorillas at Windy Impenetrable Forest. So, of course, the gorillas, as I mentioned, they're wild and they can go where they like, when they like, and occasionally they'll like to come onto our properties and get a massage. I mean, that's a joke, obviously, but they do come on property and you can witness them. And last time I was at this lodge in Uganda, they did actually come and wish off myself and my husband and my friends on our very last morning. We trekked the day before. It took us 2.5 hours to get to them. It was really quite a long trek. And then, of course, the very next morning, after all that hard work, they come and, they bid us farewell. So it's just a really special place to go if you love wildlife. If you've been to Africa before and you're looking for the next destination within the continent, there's so much to see. I would highly recommend Uganda and Rwanda, and of course our lodges in particular.
Thank you, Kelly. Jim and I, ironically, separately have both done this experience, as you know, and I just did mine in February in Uganda, and he has done both Rwanda and Uganda, and we can't speak highly enough of your properties, your partnership, and this. So obviously we are running over, so I'm going to skip a couple slides, and I am going to jump to the Q&A. So if my speakers could all come back on video and audio, and Aaron Green, if you could come on at least audio and guide us through any of the questions. We'll end on that because I really want to give our speakers the opportunity to address what has been shared and asked and everything else. So Aaron, what do you got for us?
Well, we've got one question from the chat here, and this is for Fernanda, if you're there. And James is asking about the opening date for the Amman Resort in Los Cabos. So I'm not sure if you could speak to that. I know there's quite a few kind of new luxury properties opening in your area, if you guys have time frames for those.
Yes, Amman will open next year, 2021. It'll have 30 rooms, and it will be the first Amman in Latin America.
Nice. And then, let's see, Christine, a question for you. Could you talk briefly a little more about Coral Key, which is the private island kind of aspect of Turtle Inn? And I think when people hear private island, sometimes it comes off a little bit intimidating, but I've been there and I know that it's very approachable. But could you just let us know, how many people can stay there and sort of the feel for that?
Sure, and ironically, the video is playing behind me of Coral Key as I'm talking about it. As I said, it's a 20-minute boat ride away from Turtle Inn. So you're escorted over by our boat captain on our boat. You arrive, and the chef and the butler and Goldie, the German Shepherd, greet you at the boat dock. There are 3 cottages on the 2.5-acre private island. One which you're seeing behind me here is the more luxe of the 2 with a king bed and a pull-out sofa. The second cottage has 2 queens and 2 twin beds. I would put like my 23-year-old kids with some of their friends in the secondary cottage, and I would take the the king bedded cottage. Then there's a third cottage that's the great house where you come together for meals, board games, playing music. There's a day bed in there as well. So it can really accommodate up to 10. If you want something super rustic and low key, like for a 30th, 40th birthday party, we could also charter a sailboat, park it there at the boat dock so you'd have more bedrooms. But the idea is, the GM calls it Gilligan Glam. It is much more rustic, laid back, low key, and very approachable.
Yeah, it is pretty special. And I think especially the more people you put on there, if they're comfortable sleeping in a day bed, I mean, you really can bring the price point down, and it would be so fun.
Yes.
So, on my list. Steve, you talked a little bit about, how you differ from maybe these larger home rental online companies that we know about. Can you talk a tiny bit more about the vetting, like how often homes are visited, what happens if a house goes on the market, sort of how you approach that sort of thing?
Sure. As I mentioned, we do at least once a year. Obviously, we have our managers on the ground, so they're looking at them, throughout the year, obviously between guests, before arrivals. But for a full, we have about 100-point checklist. We do it once a year. When we find new properties, for instance, nothing will go on the site until we walk into that house and we make sure that everything, I mean, you can look at a house and it can look great, but, if you don't turn on the water to make sure the water comes out hot, if you don't turn on the shower in the master and then go to the 7th bedroom, it may be, a half a mile away from the master, and turn on the shower to see that they both have strong pressure, strong hot water. Because the last thing we want one of your clients doing is, someone's in the master taking a shower and all of a sudden the person in the 7th bedroom, has a trickle of water coming out. That won't make it. The things that you would expect. The electronics, what's in the house, obviously got to have the, fastest Wi-Fi possible. You have to have, TVs from this century. I can tell you how many homes like that I look at, I'll go in and there's a Sony Trinitron, in the living room. I'm like, well, that's just not going to cut it. Or you walk to a house and they have a beautiful swimming pool and there's 3 lounge chairs. So there has, these are things that maybe people don't think about, but we don't take anything for granted, because if you're going to house 16 people, you need to make sure that there is, enough silverware, enough plates, enough cooking materials, enough wine goblets, champagne goblets, towels, soap, for 16 people. Because, when someone, I don't care if you're paying $225 a night or you're paying $50,000 a night, everybody has expectations that need to be met. So we definitely, once a year, we'll look at it and make sure that it meets our standards. Are we 100% perfect? We're not 100% perfect, but we're pretty darn close to it. And like I said, as Linda knows, if something does go wrong, we're 24/7 customer care. We have boots on the ground in every destination. We have a 24/7 customer care line in North America that you can call as well. So if they contact the advisor, you have someone to call and we'll jump on it, because stuff happens in homes, stuff happens in hotels as well, where maybe the air conditioning goes down, or I had one in the British Virgin Islands where the stove broke. And, there's no PC Richards or Best Buy to go buy a brand new stove. And if it can't be repaired, what do? You go to one of your other homes, you pull a stove out and you replace the stove that's in the home that's not working. So, we make sure that your guests receive what they're expecting.
If I could jump in on something with Steve too, and I don't think people all realize this, and for our clients and friends on the line, I know you hear this from us, but when we work with Steve's group, and he of course was generous to say, please work with your travel designer on it, is what people don't realize is how much time it takes to plan a 7-day villa rental. Yes, choosing the villa, of course, is one of the upfront time, searching and things. But when you get us involved, we work with Steve's group to narrow it down quickly, asking you the right questions to get you the choices, but then to move it forward once that decision has been made. Which nights do you want a chef to come in? Do you want to rent a catamaran for a half a day? Do you want babysitter services? So all of the things that he mentioned, and what people don't necessarily realize is that when you look at a price online, it's the same as you pay for us. Steve's group compensates us on the back end. We get a commission. So you pay the same whether you use us or not. So use us. Your time is very valuable, and we are used to working with them and asking the right questions up front and trying to get as much information to be efficient. So please just keep that in mind when you have a villa rental, because this is what we do, and Steve's group, we're used to working together. So,
and the two reasons I think we kind of wanted you to mention Jamaica is A, it is feasible for, especially for Minnesotans to go right now. You do not need to have a negative test result on arrival, which is a little different than a lot of the Caribbean. And B, we've had really happy client family groups go to Jamaica, because when we say they come fully staffed, it's not like a maid comes by once a day. I mean, these people are assigned to this house. It's really like a second family that takes care of you, and people form that's like the highlight of their stay. They're in a beautiful house, and they have all these wonderful people there the whole
Forgetting about the chef, forgetting about the butler, my favorite one is the laundress. They do your laundry every day, fold it, put it on your desk. You don't have to pack a suitcase. You bring an overnight bag. My key, and I tell you, this is my tip, anything with a stain on it, bring it, they will get it out. How they do it, it's got something to do with Jamaican magic. I don't know, but if you've got a stain, it comes out.
All right, Erin, what else you got?
Kelly, when someone is interested in a gorilla trek, what sort of time frame are we thinking? Like, how long do they really need to plan on being on the ground there? Is it, several days in a row? Is it a whole week? Is it a one-day excursion?
Yeah, I think it depends. It can look a lot of different ways. I would say the two most popular options we find our clients doing is either doing Uganda and Rwanda, combining Uganda and Rwanda and doing them as a standalone destination, or a stand together destination rather. And that would be for someone who's probably been to Africa a couple of times before. They've already ticked off a lot of the big, to-dos on the continent, perhaps the Great Migration, South Africa, so on and so forth. If it's their first trip to Africa and they really just want to do it all, you can do like a 3-night gorilla trek experience in conjunction with a greater multi-country itinerary. So you could, for example, start your African journey in Rwanda with the gorilla trek, spend a night in Kigali, 2 or 3 nights at Virunga Lodge, for example, and then you could fly out of Kigali and connect directly to the Serengeti, or connect via Nairobi to the Masai Mara. So many clients do choose to kind of create like a gorilla trekking pre or post to a larger East African itinerary. But again, I can't stress it enough. I wouldn't go that route because you don't think there's enough to do in the destination itself. Rather just, you don't know how many times you're going to be able to get to Africa, and you want to do a lot in 10 to 14 days. But you really could honestly easily spend 10 to 12 days just between the two countries if you've done the other stuff, and if you have the time and if you have the interest.
Great.
That's all I have for questions.
Great. Well, out of I could say disrespect of time, because we're at an hour and a half. So thank you for sticking with us. But what a pleasure and honor it has been to host our speakers. Thank you guys, Kelly, Christine, Fernanda, Steve, for joining us tonight. Goes without saying, your partnership to Pique and Virtuoso and others, but also to educate and help us share your knowledge and passion with our clients and friends and others on the call. So thank you all very much, and we will look forward to visiting each of you and experiencing some of the beautiful and awesome things that you have shared with us tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks you.
Wonderful time. Thanks,
Thanks,
Linda.
Bye-bye. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Linda.